Thought that acid attacks had died off in London? Well, think again. One just happened at one of London's busiest train stations in broad daylight. King's Cross Station is one of the busiest railway stations in London. Thousands of people go through there every day, connecting the capital city to the rest of the country. And just over the road, literally over the road, there's St Pancras Station too. That's the station that takes you to Europe, to continental Europe. So this is a pretty busy place. The area surrounding these stations is exceptionally busy, especially in the daytime. And on the 12th of February, this busy London station was brought to essentially a complete halt when police officers, ambulances and fire engines all had to turn up and speed to the scene after a corrosive substance was thrown at two men who were brawling in the street. This was an incident that happened at 13:33, so 1:30 p.m. So it's broad daylight, middle of the day, in the middle of the afternoon, and two men were left with facial injuries as a result of acid being thrown. Police were called to an altercation between two groups of men on Argyle Square, but those groups fled the scene before 10 firefighters and a load of police officers just turned up. And no arrests were made. Unfortunately, this is quite common with things like this. People just do the attack and then they run off. But thankfully, the two men who suffered the injuries were found nearby with facial injuries and sent to hospital. Now, there's a lot of speculation around this. Whether those two men were innocent, we don't know. It could be that they were part of some kind of gang issue, some kind of feud. It did appear that they were fighting, but they could also be completely innocent. So at this point, we have really no idea what happened. It's just good that those two men who suffered the injuries have been found and sent to hospital. And what really struck me about this particular acid attack is just how central it was. I mean, oftentimes you hear about acid attacks in London and it's in the outskirts, it's in the more dangerous parts where the gangs operate. It's the places and parts of the city that you would never see unless you lived there. But this is somewhere that tourists pass by. It's where business people frequent. It's where commuters travel into the city. They go through this part of London every single day. It's a really central part of London, and an attack where people threw a corrosive substance happened in broad daylight. Suddenly it makes acid attacks seem that little bit more real to the average person who might otherwise never come into contact with people who throw acid at other people. But it's by no means the first acid attack that's happened in a while. Maybe we're not hearing about them just as much. It's probably all the stabbings that are happening that are making the acid attacks seem less common, but these things are still happening all the time. In January, a man was jailed after launching a homophobic acid attack. It's Hussein O'Neill and a gang of 8 other men targeted people leaving a club, throwing acid at innocent people from a plastic bottle. And then in December, a 21-year-old was sent to hospital after having corrosive liquid thrown at him, and then he was stabbed as well. And in August of 2018, we learned that more than 2,000 acid attacks have taken place in 3 years, with London being the centre of this kind of crime. On February 12th, 2 men received facial injuries as a result of an acid attack that happened at one of the busiest train stations in London, King's Cross. This brazen broad daylight attack just shows how little gangster thugs in London care about other people. Gangs are just running wild in our capital city, and it's not just in the outskirts. Nowhere in London is safe, and nobody in London is safe. An acid attack could happen at any time. You could be stabbed at any time by gangsters going around stabbing innocent people as part of some kind of initiation ceremony. You could be robbed and you could be raped. And meanwhile, Mayor Sadiq Khan seems to be just turning a blind eye to it all. But I wonder just how long it's going to be until the people of London stop turning a blind eye to these violence issues. If Mayor Sadiq Khan wants to actually be re-elected next time round, I think he's going to have to do more than just rely on the diversity vote that got him elected the first time round. I think Mayor Sadiq Khan has got to start thinking about ways he can make London a safer place to live. Otherwise, I'm not so sure he's got the next election in the bag. We're not funded by the government, we don't have big sponsors, and we certainly don't have massive donors. If you'd like to help support our work, please go to rebeldonations.com/thebuck.